This is iFIBER 1 News. Here are today's top stories.
A Soap Lake woman who ransacked the Moses Lake Rite Aid was sentenced to 30 days in jail under the first-time offender waiver.
The Columbia Basin Job Corps Center and others just like it are spared from shutdown after the Trump administration withdrew a plan to end Forest Service oversight of the program.
For researchers at the University of Washington, it must have felt a lot like hosting an episode of the television show Dirty Jobs.
It looked like a party, but it was all for science. This Sunday gathering of regular cannabis users in a Leavenworth home was actually a research program.
From the iFIBER 1 newsroom, this is iFIBER 1 News. And it starts now.
A Soap Lake woman who ransacked the Moses Lake Rite Aid was sentenced to 30 days in jail under the first-time offender waiver. Deanna Castro pleaded guilty to malicious mischief in the first degree in connection to her May 13 arrest and to possession of a controlled substance in a December 2018 arrest. A judge sentenced Castro to 30 days in jail and ordered her to undergo a mental health evaluation and drug treatment. Moses Lake police had already contacted Castro twice, once after she walked into traffic, and another at Grant County Mental Health after she caused a disturbance after agreeing to a voluntary evaluation. A few hours later, Moses Lake police again contacted Castro at Rite Aid after employees reported a disturbance. Police say Castro had entered the store, broke a chair and display items before knocking handfuls of merchandise off the shelves as well as items in the pharmacy. Castro was taken into custody and booked into Grant County Jail after causing more than $5,000 in damage at the store. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Change doesn't have to be complicated. With a low-profile microwave hood combination that's ready to install right out of the box. It fits in the same space as your under-cabinet hood, so you can get your microwave off the countertop and make space for the routines worth keeping. The low-profile microwave hood combination from the #1 selling appliance brand in the USA.
Whirlpool Appliances, now available at more furniture in Ephrata.
The Columbia Basin Job Corps Center and others just like it are spared from shutdown after the Trump administration withdrew a plan to end Forest Service oversight of the program. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue on Wednesday walked back a plan that would have closed 9 of the conservation centers, including the Fort Simcoe Center at White Swan, and pulled the Forest Service out of the remaining 16 centers nationwide by September. The sudden initiative, announced 1 month ago, would have cut 1,100 Forest Service jobs and left centers like Columbia Basin idle until operations could be handed over to the U.S. Department of Labor or to an outside agency or contractor.
Secretary Perdue, throughout the USDA, has been trying to streamline it, moving stuff around, and he didn't realize the impact the announcement of deactivating all the Forest Service conservation centers would have.
The Forest Service and Department of Labor share management of the program, in place since the 1960s, to train disadvantaged youth in trades like firefighting, carpentry, nursing, and food services. The Columbia Basin campus alone serves about 230 students and provides support to wildland firefighting teams in the Northwest. Congress wasn't notified in advance, and legislators from both parties, including Congressman Dan Newhouse and Washington's 2 Democratic senators, voiced strong opposition. The House adopted budget language to preserve the program.
It's been an overwhelming response, with more people saying don't do this than people saying, hey, this is a good idea.
Around Moses Lake, Job Corps students provide services to Habitat for Humanity, the Port District, and local hunger programs. Since Perdue's initiative, Johnston said, firefighter training at Columbia Basin has fallen about a month behind. Roughly 30 students have withdrawn from the program, and some staff members have quit, uncertain whether the Job Corps Center would still exist after this summer. Even with the reversal, USDA and Department of Labor say they're still reviewing plans for the program's future. Jefferson Robbins, iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Your taste buds bored? Well, then bring them to Jay's Teriyaki. Not only does Jay's have a variety of teriyaki dishes, they also offer mouth-watering salads and sides. Call Jay's 509-764-5155. Jay's Teriyaki, located at 123 East Broadway in Moses Lake, because it's all in the sauce.
For researchers at the University of Washington, it must have felt a lot like hosting an episode of the television show Dirty Jobs. But their efforts have offered some valuable clues regarding the escalation of marijuana use in the Evergreen State. The federally funded study involved the analysis of wastewater samples from 2 sewage treatment plants in Tacoma, a city where statistical drug use is similar to that of Seattle's. Scientists examined the raw sewage, which was first frozen and then thawed out for testing purposes, for the presence of a substance which is commonly excreted in urine after the body metabolizes THC, called THC-COOH. Their findings concluded that THC consumption rates in the city doubled from December of 2013 to December of 2016, during the 3-year period in which Washington's first legal pot shops were first opened. In spite of the glaring chemical evidence, it is still unclear as to whether the noted increase is due to more people using products which contain THC or an uptick in the amount being consumed by previous users. Researchers also pointed out that many products which contain THC sold in legal marijuana stores are often more potent than much of the cannabis that was in circulation prior to pot's recreational legalization in the state. The study, which was published this week in the journal Addiction, also indicates an apparent shift by a large number of black market pot users to legal weed, since the spike in metabolite levels would theoretically never have been so dramatic otherwise. The National Institute on Drug Abuse provided $120,000 for the research.
It looked like a party, but it was all for science. This Sunday gathering of regular cannabis users in a Leavenworth home was actually a research program, with scientists from Washington State University and the University of Massachusetts recording their subjects' reflexes before and after smoking up for the first time that day. The tool that measured their response is an app called Druid, and its developer is psychologist Dr. Michael Milburn.
Created it about 3 years ago. It's a measure of actual impairment. Using cognitive neuroscience, measuring reaction time, hand-eye coordination, balance, takes a couple hundred measurements, reduces it to a single score between 0 and 100, higher number, is higher impairment.
The goal is to test how Druid responds to a variety of users, those with little tolerance all the way to those who make cannabis a daily routine, like Sunday's volunteers. Some green labs, as they're called, have also asked subjects to consume alcohol with cannabis, and last year, a Leavenworth lab recorded cannabis users' performance on roadside sobriety tests to help police distinguish one kind of intoxication from another.
One of the biggest concerns within the industry is impaired driving, because we really want to make sure that we get good policy that is in place to help people stay safe. And so any research that we can do to actually help improve the science behind the policy, we're behind as an organization.
Milburn and WSU researcher Dr. Nick Loverich collected heart and blood pressure data, conducted interviews, and sat back while their green lab rats indulged. After that, more data, more interviews, and repeated testing on Druid, which Milburn hopes can set the standard for intoxication testing for both cannabis and alcohol.
Because that's really one of the big public policy questions, is how high are daily users? With legalized cannabis, people are using it every day. They're driving around. There's a lot of concern about that. And so we're actually collecting data to be able to measure with a tool that has been calibrated against the impairment level of alcohol.
The Druid app is already commercially available for your phone or other smart device. Meanwhile, the research continues on a drug that's newly legal, but still something of a scientific mystery. Jefferson Robbins, iFIBER 1 News.
This is iFIBER 1 News. For more information on these stories and other news, visit us online at iFiber1.com or check us out on Facebook.